Let's just jump right in with a pretty wild question. What if you could actually rewire your brain just by making a simple promise to yourself every single day? I know, it sounds a little out there, maybe like something from a movie, but today we're going to dig into a theory that says this isn't science fiction at all. It might just be real. This quote, this really gets to the heart of what the vow theory is all about. I mean, think about it for a second. We've all got these habits, right? These patterns we wish we could shake. Well, this theory proposes something kind of radical. It says, hey, instead of fighting those habits head on, what if you just remembered who you were before they even started? It completely reframes the whole thing. It's not a battle, it's more like a homecoming. And that idea is so central, it actually has a name. They call it the law of remembrance. The whole concept is right there in the title. Healing isn't a battle to be won, it's a reunion with yourself. And this is where that shift in perspective really clicks into place. The vow theory isn't about fixing trauma or fighting addiction, no. The idea is that you outgrow them. And the key, the absolute key, is reconnecting with that version of you that existed before all this stuff took over. Okay, so that sounds great in theory, right? But how does it actually work in the real world? Well, the law of remembrance isn't just some feel-good concept. It's a real, practical framework. It's got 3 core principles designed to guide you from that feeling of struggle to a new kind of awareness. All right, here they are, the 3 steps on the path to what the theory calls wholeness. You've got pacification, then confrontation, and finally, integration. Let's break down what each of these really means. First up, we have pacification. And this one is, well, it's a bit of a paradox. It's all about acceptance before action, which sounds totally backward, doesn't it? I mean, if you want to change something, your gut instinct is to just fight it, to resist. But this theory says, nope. The first step is just to notice the urge, to acknowledge it's there, without judging it. And that right there is where you start to take your power back. Okay, next up is confrontation. And I know what you're thinking. That word sounds pretty aggressive. But that's not what this is about. It's not a fight. It's more like turning on a light. It's about looking at where your patterns and habits actually came from, but with curiosity, not anger. Instead of running from the why, you face it like a teacher. You ask, what are you here to teach me? It's all about illumination. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, integration. This is so important. You're not trying to erase your past or pretend it didn't happen. Instead, you're taking the person you were before all this, and you're merging them with all the wisdom you've gained after. It's like combining 2 powerful elements to create something new, a more whole, more complete you. So as you can see, this is meant to be more than just an idea in a book. It's a daily practice. And to make that practice a whole lot easier, there's actually an app for it designed to guide you through the whole thing. It's a really compelling idea, right? So beautiful and hopeful. But here's the $1 million question. Does it actually work? I mean, for real? Can making a promise to yourself every day literally change your brain? Well, that's exactly what a team of scientists set out to discover. And this is where things get really interesting. We're moving from the philosophy to the hard science. Researchers put together some seriously rigorous studies to find out if this vow theory holds up under the microscope. So, they decided to attack this from 2 different angles. First, a behavioral trial. Pretty straightforward. Does using the app actually change people's habits and how they feel over an 8-week period? And then, the second study, which is just fascinating, a neurobiological trial. This one looked inside the brain itself to see if the app could cause physical changes in brain circuits over 16 weeks. Now, to do this right, you have to be super careful. To make sure the results were legit, they set up a 3-group study. So you had one group using the actual Vow app. Then, a second group used a different app, just a basic daily journal. This was to check if any daily app use had an effect. And finally, a third group, the waitlist control. This kind of setup is crucial because it helps them pinpoint if the Vow part of the app is the secret sauce.
Okay, let's get into the brain itself. This is the really cool part. What were the scientists actually expecting to find? What does change even look like on a neural level?
They decided to zoom in on 3 key brain regions. First, you've got what we'll call the brain's CEO. That's the DLPFC. It's the part that's in charge of things like self-control. Then there's the hippocampus, which you can think of as the memory hub, the place that pieces together the story of our lives. And last but not least, the self-talk network, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It's the part of our brain responsible for all that inner chatter and mind wandering. So, here's the central hypothesis, the big idea. The theory was that this daily vow practice would essentially act like a workout for the brain's CEO. The more you do it, the stronger that part of the brain gets, giving you more top-down control over those knee-jerk emotional reactions and old, stubborn habits.
And this is the before and after picture they were hoping to see. Before the Vow app, you might have a brain that's highly reactive, with low cognitive control, and that self-talk network is just not helping. But after 16 weeks, the hope was to see a total flip. Lower emotional reactivity, higher cognitive control, and a much healthier inner monologue. But how can you be sure, right? How do you know that any changes you see aren't just random chance? Well, that's where scientific rigor comes in, and it's a pretty big deal.
There's one number that's really important here, 80%. So what on earth does that mean? 80% is what's called the statistical power of the study. In plain English, it means the experiment was designed to be powerful enough to have an 80% chance of detecting a real, meaningful effect if one actually exists. It's how scientists stack the deck in favor of finding the truth and make sure they're not just getting fooled by random noise. And when you boil it all down, that's what this entire thing is about. The ultimate goal here is to see if a simple behavior, something as human as making a daily promise, can create real, measurable physical changes in the wiring of our brains. It's connecting the mind to the matter. So we kind of end up right back where we started. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? What if the real key to change isn't this epic, exhausting fight, but a simple, quiet act of remembrance? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you were to make a vow today to remember who you really are, what would it be?